In the hushed shadows of a forgotten meadow, a lone white horse stands as a haunting testament to nature's grotesque intricacies. His ivory coat, once a symbol of purity and grace, is now marred by an unnatural horror, a massive, raw wound festooned with a pulsating hive of bees. This chilling spectacle is no ordinary affliction, but a vivid tableau of infestation, a nightmarish amalgam of life and decay. The hive, sticky with sap and smeared with blood, festers in a gruesome symbiosis, where thousands of buzzing insects relentlessly swarm, crawl, and nest within the creature's flesh. It is a stark reminder that beneath the serene surface of the natural world lies a brutal, often unseen battle for survival. The infested wound provides a grim habitat. Each cavity carved into the horse's tissue is a potential chamber for the hive's sinister architecture. Bees, usually so harmonious and industrious in their communal dance of pollination, here twist their nature into a grotesque form of parasitism. Their waxen combs glisten with viscous honey mingled with pus and clotted blood. Beneath the shimmering surface of the ocean's endless blue lies a grim spectacle few have dared to witness. A dolphin, once a graceful marine acrobat, now trapped in the throes of a macabre nightmare. Its sleek skin, a canvas of bright silver and blue, has been marred violently by a horror that seems almost alien. This dolphin's flesh is disfigured by a horrific muscle wound, a grotesque tableau of decay, an infestation that challenges the very notion of nature's beauty. The mutilation is not just an injury, it is an unsettling ecosystem in itself, pulsing with unwelcome visitors. Mussels, those humble bivalves often admired when steaming on a plate, are in this unfortunate case agents of misery. Instead of clinging peacefully to rocks or the ocean floor, these invasive mollusks have taken a sinister grip on the dolphin's wounded skin. Their shells, rough and jagged like miniature battle armor, penetrate deep into the raw, festering flesh. The wound is a dark landscape of necrotic tissue, oozing fluids that nourish the muscles even as they feast on the dolphin's epidermal layers. Each muscle embeds itself like a tiny parasite, extracting nutrients not just from the ocean, but from the living host itself, creating a grinding cycle of pain and infection. As decaying skin peels away in slimy shreds, the muscles multiply relentlessly, forming dense clusters that exude a putrid smell of rot. And so, Lieutenant, the dolphin's wound has become a festering colony, a dim underwater carnival of decay where each mollusk plays a role in the gruesome theater of survival. The surrounding skin is swollen and inflamed, an angry red swollen rim around the shell fortress. While the dolphin struggles, weighed down by these crusty invaders who exploit both its vulnerability and its majestic form, we must zoom into the scientific. In the vast, sun-baked savannas of Africa, where life thrums with relentless pulse and primal urgency, an unsettling sight grips the eye. A solitary zebra, a striking pattern of black and white marred by a gruesome tableau of decay. This is no ordinary striped clash, but a nightmare woven into flesh and open wound, festering with insect carnage, a revolting feast for hordes of merciless parasites. At first glance, it is hard to look away from this grotesque battlefield, a raw and unfiltered display of nature's darker mechanics at work. The wound is a hellscape, crusted with the scabs of old fights, and alive with the twitching, writhing presence of innumerable insects burrowing deeply, feasting, and spawning. If beauty lies in the order of a zebra's stripes, here, chaos reigns supreme, a disturbing counterpoint to the elegance of survival. Beneath the surface, beneath the black and white canvas, the battlefield tells a story of infestation writ small, but telling. The afflicted zebra's wound is a portal for various insects, primarily botflies, those insidious larvae that use the living host as an incubator. The adult botfly, with a deceptively non-aggressive exterior, drops tiny eggs on the zebra's skin or nearby vegetation. When the warmth of the host triggers hatching, the larvae burrow into the flesh, causing excruciating pain, swelling, and necrosis. These maggots feed on tissue, carving chambers within the muscle, protected from the external world by the thick hide of their host. They leave behind trails of pus, dead cells, and an acidic chemical stew produced by their metabolic processes. Each larva is a tiny surgeon, hacking through living flesh with rasping mouthparts designed precisely to survive in this horrific niche. Compounding the damage, biting flies, tsetse, stable flies, and horseflies descend relentlessly on the wound's edges, drawn by the scent of exposed tissue and infection. These voracious attackers hammer the zebra with sharp, probing mouthparts, perpetuating the wound's misery and spreading microbial invaders deeper into the bloodstream. The taint of infestation extends beyond mere mechanical damage. The risk of secondary bacterial infections multiplies as opportunistic pathogens colonize the necrotic areas. The zebra's immune system, though robust, is stretched thin by the constant barrage of antigens and inflammatory challenges. Meanwhile, tiny mites and ticks weave themselves into the fringes of the devastation, extracting blood and injecting saliva laced with anticoagulants and pathogens, transforming the wound into a microcosm of disease and decay. Each parasite influences the others in a grim symbiosis. Flies create openings for bacteria weave in the tangled depths of a tropical forest. A lone monkey clambers through the underbrush with a grotesque burden festering on its back, an unwelcome hive of parasites that distorts its fur into a mottled landscape of decay and despair. This is no mere skin irritation or minor wound. It is a visceral tableau of nature's darker side, where the relentless march of parasites turns living flesh into a writhing, pulsating mass of infestation. At first glance, you might swear the monkey has become a mobile necropolis, a monument to microbial conquest and insect warfare fought beneath the surface of its wrinkled skin. Parasite infestation is a ruthless survival story written in the language of blood, decay, and relentless resilience. These tiny creatures, mites, ticks, maggots, and larvae, colonize the monkey's wounded hide, each vying for a foothold in a competitive micro-ecosystem. The initial breach in the skin, often a result of injury or weakened immune defense, becomes a fertile ground for the parasites to unleash their reproductive. Beneath the dappled shadows of a dense jungle, an ominous spectacle unfolds. A leopard, once a symbol of perfection and predatory grace, now a harrowing testament to nature's darker mechanisms. Upon its tawny flank, a grotesque mass pulsates, an unnatural hive-like cocoon festering with parasitic life. The sight alone summons involuntary revulsion, as if the veil of beauty is ripped away to reveal the cruel machinery churning beneath. This is no mere wound, it's a living coffin, a bustling metropolis of parasites thriving at the expense of their regal host. What forces could drive such a majestic creature to become a walking death chamber? We peer into this chilling world, where life and decay intertwine in an uneasy, merciless dance. The infestation begins inconspicuously, a microscopic invader slipping beneath the leopard's skin unnoticed. These parasites, specialized and sinister, lay eggs that hatch into wriggling larvae. Unlike the transient irritations found in less severe infestations, these larvae engage in a horrifying survival strategy. They embed themselves deeply into the tissue, creating a protective cocoon out of biofilm, silk-like secretions, and the hostess' own damaged skin. This cocoon is no mere shelter. It functions as a nutrient-harvesting fortress, extracting sustenance directly from the leopard's flesh and blood. The epidermal layers are eroded away slowly, muscles begin to fray, and nerves are laid bare beneath this living, pulsing tomb. The cocoon's surface is a disturbing mosaic, waxy, glistening, and swollen, alive with tiny apertures through which the larvae breathe and expel waste. Around this hive, inflammation rages unchecked, redness transforming into necrosis, as the immune system launches a desperate, futile war against the invaders. The exudate is thick, foul-smelling, a cocktail of pus, blood, and decaying tissue. Flies and other scavengers circle as in the shadowy recesses of the wild, where life clings to every breath yet decay, and survival dance a grim ballet, lies a sight that seizes the gaze with a mixture of horror and fascination. There, beneath the dense canopy, a solitary leopard roams, not with the leopard's typical grace and fierce elegance, but dragging behind it a grotesque burden, a magnificent creature marred by a cocoon wound so horrific it seems almost unreal. The wound spreads like a living nightmare over the sleek golden fur, a grotesque chamber of parasites encapsulated in a churned mass of infected tissue, rotten flesh, and slithering larvae. Its surface oozes a viscous, acrid fluid that smells of rot and decay, a pungent signature of death lurking beneath the skin. This is no ordinary wound. It is a grim womb harboring a dark army of parasites, each one destined to feast, transform, and multiply at the expense of their unfortunate host. This living nightmare is the product of a parasite cocoon infestation, a sinister biological phenomenon as disturbing as it is fascinating. Parasites, those relentless invaders, have found a cunning way to exploit the leopard's body as a habitat for the next generation. The cocoon is not just a wound. It is a fortress constructed from the host's flesh, a swollen mass hardened by a protective web spun by the parasites within. Inside this fortress, the larvae writhe, feeding voraciously on tissue fluids and dead cells, their tiny jaws biting mercilessly into the living flesh. As days pass, the cocoon expands, becoming a grotesque sculpture where life and death meet in a horrible symbiosis. The surrounding skin becomes discolored, thickened, and stretched tight over the swelling mass, as immune cells cluster in vain attempts to fight off this invader. The leopard's normal behavior is grotesquely impacted. Their movements grow sluggish, the once fluid grace replaced by an agonized limp. The biological mechanics of this infestation